Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Today we'll be continuing on through more of these menu books in the game. Menu book number 2, test yourself at the license center. It's a very simple one, probably only take a minute or two really. All we have to do is get the B1 license. Initially I thought that meant the National B license, but it literally means the first test of the National B license. So very basic one, so it should only take a moment, so let's just get straight into it. As it always has been in Gran Turismo games, the first license test is literally just accelerating and braking. I remember in Gran Turismo Sport I nailed this one first try, so let's see if we can do that once again. So here we go then for attempts number 1 at the starting and stopping license test number 1. We get underway, and all we need to do is simply accelerate and then brake. How hard can it possibly be? Probably pretty hard, because I didn't actually check how long the run is until the finish line, but let's see if we can nail this one. We do get the cones as a braking marker, but that was actually perfect for us, and we do manage to get the gold straight away. So there we go, 20.122, way ahead of the gold time, so that was a relatively easy one. I imagine the license tests will get harder as we continue through into, the international license tests later on. I'm sure there will be much more of a challenge, especially when we introduce corners. But anyway, job done with license test number 1. So let's just move on and get into some actual racing and actually do something that involves turning the steering wheel. So let's go. That stopping was pretty perfect though. So as a reward for that menu book, we get the Goodwood Circuit over in the UK, along with the Brands Hatch Circuit also in the UK, and as well we get the next menu book, European classic compact cars, I should say, which will be pretty good. I think I always loved compact cars and classic cars in the Gran Turismo games. So in this one we get a Fiat 500F along with a Mini Cooper and a Volkswagen 1200, the old Beetle. So that is 3 awesome cars. Probably not going to be the greatest racing cars in the game, but I always find these sorts of things fun to drive. So let's just get into it and start earning these cars. I'd assume a number of these races we're about to do will be at the new circuits, so let's just get into it. So our first race will be the Brands Hatch one, and for this one we will win the old Beetle, so let's just get into it. By the look of things, it is another Sunday Cup race, a variant of the Sunday Cup, it seems, Sunday Cup Classic. We're not restricted to classic cars, but it looks like we'll be racing against classic cars, so that's interesting. We'll see how they compare and how the Volkswagen bus there goes, but anyway, let's just get into it and get this going. It looks like we can use any car so long as it is a road car. Not that we have anything particularly overpowered at the moment, but anyway, let's just get into it and start the Sunday Cup Classic at Brands Hatch. Alright, so here we go then for the Sunday Cup Classic at Brands Hatch, as we immediately try and get up the inside of the Autobianchi Abarth, but we go very deep and completely miss the first corner off into the gravel, and now we have a lot of time to make up, as it's only a 2-lap race. We've switched cars into the Honda Civic, nope, it's a Honda Fit rather, that we just got in the last episode, so just trying out all the different early game cars at this point. We don't need to drive specific cars at this point. The races should be relatively easy, so we should be able to complete them in just about anything at the moment. Later on, we'll need to probably tune up specific cars for specific races to work, but anyway, we begin to make some overtakes through this race. Thankfully not too many cars in this one, just 8, so it won't take too long to get to the front of the field, especially at this rate, as we've already done almost half the work, as we now head to complete the first lap and I can see a couple of little buses up the road without too much straight line speed, and they're holding up some of the faster cars, as you can see, but we thankfully get past them without issue, and that's moved us up into second position with just this one little box in front of us as we try and have a look up the inside of the Volkswagen Golf. Can we get there as we continue? The Golf actually has some decent straight line speed there, so that's interesting. A lot more than any of the other cars, but we do manage to get up the inside of the Golf and take the lead as we now exit the first hairpin. But anyway, we cut on to the end of the race, and we cross the line to take the victory here at the Brands Hatch Sunday Cup Classic event. Next up, we are just going to increase the difficulty before the next event because, well, let's be honest, that one was a little bit too easy, so hopefully we'll get a bit more of a challenge putting it on the hardest difficulty. Although I notice only 2 of the 3 icons are filled in, so do we unlock a harder difficulty later? I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, I go on a bit of a thing and look through all the settings here, but let's cut all that out and just get to the next race, which will be at the Goodwood Circuit. Unfortunately, the first attempt at this one ended with a little bonk into the wall, so we're going to restart this one and go again. But that was literally my first ever time driving on this circuit, so now with 2 laps of experience, I should be a professional around this track, and we should be able to win this race easily. So here we go then, immediately gaining ground on the first 2 cars. We're going to nick to the inside here and just about squeeze through using the grass there, as there was not a lot of room to work with, but we were able to get through anyway and clear those 2 cars once again. The buses are being seemingly the slowest cars on circuit. Not really a huge surprise, they are literally just bricks on wheels as we catch up to the other bus and immediately get past him as quickly as everyone else seemed to there, as the rest of the field are way out in front of us. We should be able to gain some time though through this section. The back half of the track slightly more complicated than the first half, but it's all fairly straightforward except for the final corner yet to master that little chicane. But anyway, we continue through and now gaining time on the battle for 3rd and 4th at the moment ahead of us, so let's see if we can catch them very soon. Hopefully we don't have any issues with the final chicane this time as we sit in the slipstream of the 4th place car. Let's see if we can get up the inside as we now have a look, and we will get there as we're going to go almost 3 wide along the straight, but we'll sort things out by the corner, get past both of them, and everything is nice and under control as we go through the corner. A little bit wide on the exit, but we keep things pointing in the right direction as we have a bit of a collision with the inside wall there and run ourselves wide out of the final corner over the grass, bouncing along back onto the track, but we don't have any speed in hand to try and challenge for 2nd position, so we just have to sit in behind for a little bit longer and wait for a better opportunity. The race leader a fair way ahead, so it's going to be somewhat difficult to catch up to them in a lap, but we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we're not held up by the P2 car for too long. That said, we had a dreadful run through the first corner, slowing down too much there, and that's really not giving us a good exit as the helicopter flies overhead. Not going to distract us though, and we will continue on. But you can see we really don't have the straight line speed in this one, so whether that's due to the change of difficulty or the change of car, I'm not sure, but maybe it was just the bad exit out of the first corner. But we do not have any form of power advantage. But that said, you can see 1st and 2nd, the gap has significantly reduced, so even though we weren't catching P2 for a while, we were both in unison catching up to the Mini in the lead as we make the move around the outside for P2, and now just the Mini is ahead of us. So let's see if we can get past the Mini as we head into the last few corners of the lap. We're going to have a little look to the inside, gives us a bit of a squeeze, but ultimately gives us enough room, and we get through just about ahead of the Mini. So even the old Mini has almost as much straight line speed as us. I imagine maybe it has some upgrades on it. Surely the old Mini isn't as fast as a modern Mazda Demio, but either way, it's decently fast in a straight line. It can certainly hold its own, but anyway, we now head through the chicane for the final time, and we get through there cleanly for once, and we do manage to stay ahead, and we are going to take the victory here, the second race in the Sunday Cup Classic at Goodwood. So we now start the final race at the Autodromo Lago Maggiore or something, I think it was called. Not sure if that was the correct pronunciation, but we'll roll with it as we are still in the Demio. I did actually try this one in the Mini, but unfortunately it just wasn't quite good enough. We just couldn't quite keep up with the leaders by the end of the race. But yeah, back in the Demio, I'd imagine this one should be fairly straightforward, as we managed to immediately gain a few places through the first few corners, and yeah, this is going to be so much easier. It's a fairly short track. We're probably more than halfway through the lap already, but we're going to take the lead by the end of the first lap, it seems. The Mini couldn't even do it in 2, so yeah, I mean, imagine if a slightly better driver was behind the wheel. It's probably possible, but it just didn't quite have enough, especially along the straights, without doing some upgrades, which we haven't done yet. So yeah, we will push on. I don't even know if we've really unlocked too much in the way of tuning at the moment, so yeah, there's not really a lot we could have done with the Mini until later on. But there we go, end of the first lap, and we have all but taken the lead here, as we're having a bit of a battle side by side there, as we know we're going to try and make the move around the outside of turn 1, testing the limits of these comfort tyres we're on, and we just can't quite get through. The older cars are very light, so they can be difficult to overtake, as we're actually having a really great battle here, but we will eventually prevail and move ourselves up into the lead. But that was actually a really nice fight for the race win there, and it looks like we're going to come out on top. Hopefully there is nothing that stands between us and the race win. Only one final corner, so I don't imagine we'll have too much in the way of obstacles there. It should be fairly straightforward, as we're a little bit late on the brakes, but we do get it stopped, and we accelerate out of the final corner, and it's going to be a fairly straightforward one in the end, as we now head towards the finish line, and we're going to win the final race of the Sunday Cup Classic at the Autodromo Lago Maggiore, and it is a third win in a row for us in the Sunday Cup Classic. That's all 3 cars now. I think we win the Fiat for this one, so let's go check in back at the cafe and see what we've got. There it is then, Collection European Classic Compacts completed. So I guess we can now go and learn a little bit more about these cuties. But first, we earn ourselves a 1-star roulette ticket, the High Speed Ring circuit, the legendary High Speed Ring, and of course the tuning shop is now available to us. So that is awesome. We'll be able to make use of that and do some crazy stuff very soon. But let's talk about these compact classics. These are some of the most famous cars of all. A truly wonderful collection. The world's first motor cars were produced around the end of the 19th century. But it wasn't until the 20th century that mass production became the norm. It was a shift that meant that cars were produced for everyone, not just the select few. At the time, many small, simple cars were manufactured and sold at a price that was affordable for the masses. This was made possible by ingenious engineers and designers who were responsible for such icons as the Mini from the UK, the Fiat 500 from Italy, and the Volkswagen Beetle from Germany. These cars certainly left their mark on automotive history. Perhaps I'll tell you more about them next time. And there it is, our final menu book for this episode. Menu book number 4, the Championship High Speed Ring Track Day. Doesn't sound like a name for a championship, but nonetheless, that is exactly what it is. So let's just get into it then. The recommended car is a Suzuki Swift. We don't have one of those, but oh well. But quickly, before we get into the championship, we actually have a pair of 1-star roulette tickets to spend. I don't know what the stars go up to. I guess maybe 5 would be logical, but I guess only time will tell. That big pile of money at the front there looks interesting, but we'll see what we are lucky enough to get. Are we going to get the car? That is awesome. What is it though? It is a Peugeot RCZ GT line. Not entirely sure what that car is, but it has a decent performance compared to our current vehicles, so I'm certainly not going to complain. I think it will be the best car that we have at the moment. I think our best car previously was the Toyota Aqua, but I think this one is significantly higher in terms of its performance points. So what are we going to get from the second ticket? I doubt we'll be so lucky twice, but we will see as we once again have that big pile of money at the front. But will we be lucky enough to get 2 good prizes in a row? No, we get a handful of coins. 2,000. Okay, that's not as bad as I was expecting with how small that little pile is on in the image, but yeah, not anything significant. Anyway, let's just get into the High Speed Ring Championship. So 2 races in this championship, both at High Speed Ring. The first one is the regular anti-clockwise direction. The second one will be the clockwise variant of the circuit. So let's just get into it and get this underway. Look how shiny that car is. Alright, we are underway for the High Speed Ring Championship, so let's see if this new car is any good versus our competitors. So immediately, straight line speed seems pretty good against these cars running down the back of the field. We'll see how it compares to the leaders in just a moment when we catch up to them, but an 8-car field still, so still a relatively small field. I thought maybe being a championship there might be a few more cars on track, but I guess that will come later on. So continuing to push through, making very quick progress actually, so perhaps this car is a little too good for this championship. The game probably still expects you to be using something like the Mazda Demio or Honda Fit for this championship, but we got lucky with a prize car from the roulette ticket, so I guess that's potentially making things easier for us. But anyway, focusing on the race again, we are closing up to the race leader now as we come to the end of the first lap, sort of into the final sector, I suppose. And we are, well, we're not actually too quick along the straights. It seems to be the corners where we're gaining time more than on the straights. We're slightly faster, but nothing crazy. So maybe it's the tyres this car is on. We're on comfort softs, so maybe not, unless everyone else is on comfort mediums, which are pretty much as bad as your default tyres get on the cars. You can of course get comfort hards, but I don't know if any cars actually come with those tyres when you buy them. Surely not any cars in this race, but yeah, we cruise past the race leader, take that position for ourselves, and we're just going to fast forward through this final lap because there's really not too much to show from it. But yeah, it was a fairly easy one, but hopefully the second race will be a little bit more interesting as we come across the line to win race 1 at High Speed Ring. Alright, then here we go for race 2. Theoretically, all we need to do is finish in the top 2 in this one, and that should be enough to seal the championship, or at least an equal first. Hopefully that would be good enough, but that should be relatively easy given how quick we were in the first race. The only curveball is that the track is now wet. It has been raining between the races, and now there is absolutely no visibility when you're following another car. That was a lot of spray from one very small car in front of us there, but nonetheless we will push on and try and make our way through the field, but you can see struggling a little bit in these conditions, not quite just cruising past everyone the way we were in the first race, so this one could be a little bit more interesting. We'll have to see as the race goes on how much progress we can make in what amount of time. Thankfully, good visibility in the tunnel, no water on the ground in here as we try and get up the inside, and we will just about get there and get that move done. But yeah, we're definitely not quite as quick in these conditions as we were in the dry, and you can see the spray. There's absolutely no visibility. We can barely see the car that's just a few meters in front of us, and in fact there's a bit of contact there with another car as we sit right in behind as we're trying to make a move maybe to the outside. Can't quite tell where the corner is at this point, but we're just trying to keep it on the road, and there's the corner finally. It appears into view as we're trying to make the move around the outside and just trying to survive at this point. We go down low on the track to just get some visibility back, and thankfully the next corner is a very long right-hander, so we don't need to worry about getting a good line through this corner because it's flat out no matter how you take it. But yeah, it's terrible visibility. I thought I'd try and use the chase camera, which I think is slightly better, but it's still very difficult to see through the spray, and we're not necessarily going to walk away with this one, but we do manage to take the lead just about by the end of the first lap, so yeah, that is good. So let's just push on to the end of the race, hopefully make no mistakes, and we should have this one under control as we now fast forward our way through the final lap. And yeah, it was a relatively straightforward one from there, and we do manage to get through the rest of the race cleanly and come across the line to win race 2 and the High Speed Ring Track Day Championship. Our first championship in the game. A bit interesting, I suppose, that it featured 2 races at the same track. I think that might be a first for Gran Turismo, as far as I can think of. Just a forward and reverse at the same circuit. Not sure, maybe it's happened at some point before, but yeah, it's yeah, it was a bit weird, but I assume later on when we get to the higher levels of racing, we will get to championships that incorporate multiple circuits around the globe. But anyway, we get a bunch of money for that, 10,000 credits in the bank, and mileage as well. Not that that's particularly difficult to get our target for the day. In fact, we've already done it. But there you go. We were number 1 overall in the championship. We get a slightly unusual looking trophy. It's got a cool kind of triangular design, but anyway, that's cool. We get money for that as well, for winning the championship, and we get a prize car, and it's a random one. We have to pick a card, so let's see what are we going to get. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I don't know which one to go, left or right or the middle. We picked the right, and it's a Suzuki Swift. Nice. I do love the Suzuki Swift, so very happy with that. Well, I was actually planning on buying that quite soon anyway, so that's awesome. We will have that one in our garage now, so we will be able to use that hopefully quite soon, because like I said, I love this car. But anyway, let's go back to the cafe and wrap this one up. Alright, so back to the cafe, and we speak to Luca. Congratulations on emerging victorious at the High Speed Ring Track Day. We earn a trophy from that, and we now have access to Brand Central, which is where we can purchase new cars as opposed to ones from the last millennium that we can get at the used car dealership. So that's awesome. We can get some cool stuff. We unlocked Tsukuba and Suzuka, which is also awesome, as well as the next menu book, Japanese FF sports cars, which are also awesome. So a lot of awesome stuff coming up in the next episode. Other than that though, there is our one and only trophy so far in this game. We will get to many more in the future, but other than that then, there is not a lot else left to cover. So I'll just say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate it. Feel free to give us some feedback in the comments. It always helps. And other than that, I will see you next time.